If you're a solopreneur working 60 hours a week and still like you're falling behind, this episode is your permission slip to stop the madness. Today, I'm sharing the top automation secrets that allows for me and many of my clients to run our businesses on less than 20 hours a week without sacrificing income, clients, or growth. Welcome back to the Hustle Free Entrepreneur Podcast, where we ditch burnout culture and build smart, sustainable businesses. I'm Jessie, your systems expert and back office strategist. And today is all about giving you your time back. As always, I like to say it's all about working smarter, not harder. Let's just jump out there and talk about the real cost of doing it all. In fact, you might be wearing all the hats inside of your business, which is very common. You're the CEO, the social media manager, the marketer, the admin, the bookkeeper, and any other role inside of your business. But here's the truth. Being busy doesn't mean you're being productive. That was a lesson I had to learn very early inside of my business. I had to sit here and think like, okay, if it's only a specific amount of days I can actually work in a month, why am I going to overcommit myself each and every day and not be making what I need to make? So I realized that something had to change because I cannot put more hours in the day, and I did not want to sacrifice my health, my sanity, or to time with my family to be able to do what I'm doing. In fact, most solopreneurs are spending over 10 hours a week on tasks that they can easily automate. And that's over 40 hours a month. That's your time, your peace, all gone. And the thing about the event industry that makes it a little bit different than some other businesses is that our administrative side is only a portion of how we do our business. In fact, how we're handling and executing our events can sometimes be the biggest chunk of time. And what happens is that we usually use the leftover time to then do our administrative parts, which can often feel as if they're neglected. In this fast-paced world right now, automation is really a non-negotiable. Using tech is a non-negotiable. And for those of you that need clarity, automation isn't just for big tech companies or six-figure coaches with teams. It's for you, the solopreneur, the service provider, the side hustler trying to make a full-time income. With the right automations in place, you can stop chasing clients and start building a real business that runs without you micromanaging each and every step. And you may be saying to yourself, Jessie, this all sounds fine and dandy, but how do I actually get started? Well, this is what we're going to talk about today's episode. I'm going to give you the 5 automation secrets to work less and grow more. The first automation that I highly recommend for everyone to really tackle and master is how you capture leads and automate your follow-up. Imagine someone visiting your site or Instagram, dropping their email and instantly getting a freebie, a welcome sequence, or a booking lead. That's what tools like ManyChat, ConvertKit, and StanStore are able to do for you, all without you having to manually do anything. With platforms like StanStore or ManyChat, you can have it that when people type in a specific code or word, the technology will automatically send them a response. For example, if you use a code word like how much, that can be a trigger that automatically sends, thank you for reaching out to X, Y, and Z company. If you're inquiring about our services, please go to, and you have a link right in there. Because what happens is that if you're waiting for when you have time to go through your DMs, it can, for some people, be a very long process, or you might have some oversight. So you want to think to yourself, how are you able to set it and forget it while your inbox fills with warm leads? And then once they actually go to that link to get into your lead form, then you want to have additional communication that's going to them. Could you imagine if someone commented how much, you send them to a link to fill out your lead form to find out more about your services? Once they receive information about your services, they can then schedule a consultation that would be amazing without you having to do anything. You can have a whole booked weekend and people have been able to review your pricing, schedule a consultation, and you already have a lead, and you find that you already have a consultation set up with someone you never spoke to, but because they followed the automation that you created, it made it feel as if you were on top of it. And to be honest, that can be the first impression that makes people feel confident about them making the decision to reach out to you. The second thing that I recommend is having some way for people to automatically schedule appointments. There's no more going back and forth in DMs. You want to use a platform that allows for people to schedule time. Some people like to use Calendly, which is a great option. And Google Calendar just released some new updates as well that allows for people to schedule time. However, y'all know I'm always a big fan of you using CRMs that have that. I always talk about HoneyBook, and if you've never used HoneyBook before, I'll make sure to have a link in the show notes that will allow for you to try it out for free for a few days and then save money on a subscription. The beauty about using something that allows for people to schedule time is that when you're busy, you don't want to have to go back and forth because some days you might be available to talk and some days you may not. And you just don't want it to be that while you're in the limbo of taking care of your business, that people are not being handled. So having automated scheduling, it allows for you to service the people that you already are booked, but also having those that are new prospects have the ability to reach out and set up times to talk. And then a bonus for you to do is that once you do set up those schedulers, you want to have that it gives people automated reminders as well so that people know that they have those meetings, and then they also are reminded to show up because sometimes you can have people be a no-show and it's not because they weren't interested or they're not serious about your service, but if you don't have a reminder, they just will forget. So you don't want to ever feel like you're wasting your time. So make sure that whatever you're using for your calendar, you want to make sure that it gives reminders. The best thing you can also do is when it comes to people scheduling appointments, have that as a concept when you're creating the process for when leads inquire about your services. So you want to think, how do you have all the information that you need to have prior to that consultation? So that's why I always recommend for people to always have some type of inquiry form where they're giving you specific details so that you're having an impactful call. And that's not only just for your inquiry calls. I say through every process of your system, you want to think to yourself, how do I have the most impactful interactions with my clients and when we do have it? Because if we're just going back and forth about very vague details, that is a waste of your time and that's a waste of your client's time. So be prepared by knowing exactly what that person is needing so that you can have an intentional conversation. The third area that I definitely recommend for you to think about when it comes to automation is invoicing and payment collections, because we should not be still manually sending invoices or reminding people to pay. That's a job for HoneyBook. That's the job for CRMs like HoneyBook, Dubsado, Owl Planner, 17 Hats, and a bunch of other ones. You want to have a platform that allows it for you to easily, one, invoice people so that you're not having to go back and forth and touching an invoice each and every time, because time is money. So if it requires for you to take an exorbitant amount of time to actually send out an invoice to people, you might even be missing out on an opportunity for someone to book you. But two, that could potentially be an opportunity for errors, which is going to cost you money as well. So you want to make sure that whatever platform you have, it allows it to be an easy process for you to invoice people with as minimal mistakes or no mistakes at all. But you also want it to be that they can easily pay you. Back in the day, I remember when I used to have to do my invoices on Microsoft Word documents, and that was horrific, like horrific. I remember I made the mistake of writing in the wrong price on an invoice, or I would do one invoice to move on to the next invoice, and then the person needed me to make a change, and then I had to retype the whole invoice. Like, that is the worst, and I do not recommend it to anyone. So having a system that allows for you to invoice people after the consultations or at intentional parts of your process, it will allow for you to get paid easily. But the most important part is that when you have it automated, you have the ability to also have reminders sent. So think to yourself, how do you automate every part of your payment and invoicing process? So I challenge you to think to yourself, how can you automate everything from the deposit request to payment plans inside of a system? Because I want for you to stop playing the bill collector in your own business. Having the correct due dates and having it clearly communicated to your client is what's going to help with ensuring that you have as minimal issues when it comes to you getting paid and getting paid on time. And the beautiful thing about using a CRM that does allow for you to also do payments, and if they have automations built in, is that you can have that after a client makes their first payment, that you can have an email go to them, or your welcome packet can go to them, or they can be guided to make their planning session call with you. So when you have it automated, you can think to yourself, how can I not only get paid, but what are some of the things that I can have aligned to after the client pays so that it can still be a continuous process for people to work with you.
Do you ever feel like you are always reinventing the wheel inside of your event business? What if you had workflows to help with improving your client experience and how you're executing your services? There is a stress-free way to run your business, and I have a free resource to help you with navigating how to go about creating that inside of your business. That's why I have created a free training that's intended to help event business, industry business owners with being able to streamline how they're doing their services so that you are no longer wasting time, potentially making mistakes, or losing clients. This quick training will walk you through how to go about creating your process. It also includes some free printouts and worksheets to help you with being able to map out your plan. Don't let your back office hold you back anymore, and take the time to download the free resource that's in the description today.
Another area in which we can look in automating our business is all about our client onboarding automation. The reality is that first impressions matter. So you want to use a system that triggers a welcome email, sends your client a guide, shares your calendar, and set up a folder automatically when they sign the contract. This is possible with automation. It just comes down to what platform you're using. Yes, I may lean more to one platform than the other, but to be very honest, I don't care what platform you use as long as you're using it. Because if you're someone that's been in business and you're not embracing automation, people are going to be running laps around you, and I don't want that to happen. And the thing is that when we are doing everything manually, we're just doing our best, or we're doing our best completely stressed out. So when you can allow automation to help support you in a way that is going to help with improving your client experience and journey, it only shows you at a high light. It allows for the client to see you at your best, which is the ultimate goal. You want it to be that people feel confident in making the decision to work with you. So when you are using automation for your client onboarding, you want to be able to make sure you have the right communication going to them at the right time. I would not recommend that you have them fill in information that will typically be very variable early on in the process. Like if you're asking about where should you park, what time will you be able to access this place, and all these questions that they don't know because the event is 6-7 months down the road, you're gathering information at the wrong time. So what I always recommend to people when it comes to the automation and their client onboarding, think about what you need to know right now compared to getting everything at once. And what happens is that when we're doing things manually, we're just trying to bombard the client with getting everything at once because we often are just trying to get it all done so we can just focus on the execution part, when that is really not a great experience even for your client. So you want to sit down and think to yourself, what do I need to get from my clients? What is the impression I want to be able to give to them? And how can I add value to my client as well? This will be a game changer for you because your client will know what to expect and they will feel more confident in their decision. And by having this clear onboarding process, this alone saves me 5 hours every time I onboard a new client. In fact, most days, all I do inside of my HoneyBook account is I log right into my portal and I see what task I need to do. And I'm able to get all of my tasks completed most times within 15 to 30 minutes. And I just move on to the next thing. I can focus on getting new clients in the pipeline, following up with old ones instead of micromanaging each and every project. The goal of automation is just to give you more peace of mind and help you running your business more confidently. Everything that we just spoke about really all goes down to your actual client experience. The fifth one I want to talk about is going to be, how do you automate your social media content distribution? I know social media management and you doing your marketing may not even bring you joy, because I think that that can probably be as stressful for some of you due to how you may be potentially doing your content. So this is why I do recommend for you to think about, how do you automate your social media content? You don't need to post manually every day. I highly recommend for you to plan a week in advance with tools like Metrical, Buffer, or Planoly, and upload once and let it all do it right. I personally use Metrical. I use Metrical to help with use Personally, I use Metrical to help with doing my social media management. It makes such a huge difference because me and my admin, we once a month, we figure out some of the concepts that we're going to be showcasing on our social media platform so that we know exactly how we're going to consistently show up. I am not great at coming up with content on the fly. Well, no, I will not say that. I choose not to. That's a difference. I choose not to. Like TikTok, it doesn't matter. But if I have to be intentional and aesthetic, I choose not to do that on the fly on a daily basis. Some of you might thrive at that. I am not one of those individuals. So what I like to do is plan out my content at least 2 to 4 weeks in advance so I know what we're capturing, what we're talking about, and what is going to be the goal for that content. But when you have the ability to plan it out in advance, it makes the planning process easy because all you have to do is find the content that you're needing and you'll be able to upload it into Metrical. And the great thing is with a tool like Metrical, you can actually have it do your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your TikTok, any platform that are pretty popular right now, all can all be integrated inside of Metrical, which really helps you with being able to still stay present in front of your clients. And as I always like to talk about, is the power of using email marketing. So, of course, if we're going to be doing social media, we want to make sure that we're also directing people to some of our resources or to reach out to talk to us about our services. And the great thing about it is that when you're strategic and you plan things out in advance and using a tool like Metrical, you can be intentional with saying, if you're interested in receiving information on our cool ideas for the fall, comment fall so that you can receive that email. Or we have this special offer for the month of October. Comment October to receive this information. You can do that with conjunction of, again, Stand Store and ManyChat, as I mentioned in the first thing, that allows for you to stay in front of people. And when you're intentional with your content, it makes such a huge difference. And this is why I say to batch that content, schedule it and log off. Because if you are on this hamster wheel of always creating content and not really being able to work in your business, that is going to be tragic for you, because we only have 24 hours in a day, and you want to make sure that the time that you have, that you're being intentional with the activities and actions in which you're doing. So I know everything I just shared may be overwhelming for those of you that are newer in business, and even for some of you that have been in business for some time. The thing is that technology is here and it comes down to how are you going to tackle this? But the best thing I can tell you is just to really start simple. Don't overwhelm yourself with trying to do a complete business overhaul unless you have the support to be able to do so. So I'm going to give you 3 tools I recommend for you to look at so that you are able to start with the beginner steps of using automation inside of your business. The first one that I want to recommend to you is going to be StanStore because they have the ability for you to have your links inside of the StanStore. You can also get paid. You can have people schedule times to talk with you, but most importantly, they have the auto DM feature included in their services. So as I mentioned, if people DM you or if they comment underneath posts, you can have information automatically shoot to them. So that helps with your lead generation. So using a platform like StanStore or ManyChat, because there are similarities with both, I highly recommend this as your first step. The next one is to look into having a CRM like HoneyBook because it allows for you to have an automation for when people inquire about your services, but also for invoicing and onboarding because we need to make sure that people are able to inquire about our services without having to wait for us to respond. We also want to make sure that people are able to pay us with ease. And then when people do pay us, we want them to have a seamless experience when they're being onboarded into our business. And then the third tool I would recommend for you to check out is going to be ConvertKit. And I will make sure to have it in the show notes so that you are aware of all 3 of those platforms. But ConvertKit is great for email marketing. I have corporate clients that I work with. And the great thing about ConvertKit is that I don't find any open rate issues because people are able to get through their system. Now that I've shared those 3 simple-ish systems that I do recommend for you to explore, and once you have those running, you notice that your time will start freeing up. And these are great platforms to just get started to integrate automation into your workflow. And the thing is that working 20 hours a week isn't just a pipe dream, especially when it comes to the administrative side of running an event business. It's all about choosing the right systems so that you don't have to stress because doing things manually is overwhelming and it takes up way too much time. The thing about most of the tools that I did mention, they are beginner friendly and affordable, especially when we think about the time that we get back. Please don't just get only wrapped up in how much a subscription costs. If you're going to be able to get bookings faster, get paid faster, save time, for $30 or $40 a month, it is worth it. Because if it's going to take you double or triple the amount of time to execute something, you're not saving money. It's actually costing you more than what you're aware of. So I would love to know for you if this episode has been helpful. I would recommend for you to subscribe and leave a review because I want to make sure that I'm putting out content that's helping to bring more clarity to what it's like to run a business in the event industry. And if you are needing some support with creating automations for your specific business, because every business is different, I would recommend for you to head over to the show notes. I do offer a free 15-minute business system audit for those of you that have multiple 6-figure businesses and that are looking for clarity. Until next time, keep building your business the hustle-free way.